የህወሓት በደል የትህነግ ጭቆና
telling the operation of TPLF over Rayan people is like fetching the water of an ocean with spoon.
እንደ በማንኪያ መናገር ነው እኔ ማወራ ያለሁት።
ይሄ ልጅ አንድ ጊዜ ሙቷል።
I have lost my lonely son and we don't know where his friends are today.
ራያ ላይ
Raya is the place where TPLF committed a big maltreatment and operation.
ራሴ መርዝ ጠጥቻለሁ መሞት።
I've tried to commit suicide.
ራያ ሸለቆ ልማት የሚባለውን እኮ ፕሮጀክት
They deliberately terminated Raya Gorge development project immediately after the water was generated.
የባህል ወረራ፣ የስነልቦና ወረራ
We have been ill-treated culturally and psychologically. We were made to be ashamed of our language.
የሰው ልጅ እንደዛ ብሎ
A man should not be persecuted this much. It's better to be killed with gunshots.
referendum አድርጓል ወይ?
Did they make a referendum? Did they ask the consent of the people?
I'm living lonely except my children.
ሙሶሎኒም በእኛ ላይ ከሰራው ግፍ ላይ እና ሌሎችም ግፈኞች
I know that the bad deed of TPLF can be worse than what Benito Mussolini did on us.
They killed my son 2 weeks after he came to his homeland.
ጥሩ ነበር።
He had been my hope to support me today.
አይዞሽ እናቴ።
መሞታቸው የማይታወቅ መኖራቸው የማይታወቅ
There are mothers who don't know whether their children are alive or not.
ስንት ወጣት ቀይ ባህር በልቶታል።
Many of the youths lost their life in Red Sea and Somalia deserts.
እናት አባት ሁኝ አሳድቆ ይሁን
He was a strong farmer.
ያርስ ነበር ያፍስ ነበር።
ጫካ ላይ ወስደው ያፍረስጋውን ደብድበውት
There is a man who was castrated. For this reason, he never returned to his homeland and went to a monastery. The question of dignity is a pillar of human's identity. When the question of dignity is raised, officials of TPLF persecuted the people much. The persecution of TPLF over Rayan people on the basis of the issue of identity and boundary lasted for the past 27 years. Raya is the people who was highly persecuted physically and psychologically. The response for the question of the people concerning identity and boundary was punishment and persecution. In fact, it was in the early time that TPLF planned to violate human rights of the people and snatched their identity. Now we have made our journey to Wajat Muga, which was under the province of Raya Kobo before 1984. This area is where the operation of TPLF was worst. Many of the people were killed only because of their question of identity. Children lost their parents. Elders lost their children who support them. Women were also forced to live alone without their husbands. Large number of Amharan people were detained, persecuted and killed for the past 27 years.
nimajuch gar hay ዘበናይ ቁጥ ብያ ገሩ ግን ቦታ ማረ በለጨ ቆን ቀልቦ ህሯን በቆሮምባ ጠይቱን የእንዷዱ ዳን እኔ hay ለገና ተደውሎ ባማውቶ ወደኛ ሲመጡ አረናት የመጡብና
I was here in my home with my children. However, my husband was killed outside by TPLF soldiers. Then they came to me, firing their gun and throwing the body of my husband. We cried much, but nothing can be done. Since then, we couldn't find something to eat. We were starved much. My children always cry because of the death of their father.
ልጆቿ ሰመድ ሰማሳክታ ተለቆቹም ወንዶቹም ብሎ አሳክሳክና አስናይ ታቀስና ያለን
የራያ አላማጣ ወረዳም ውስጥ የዋጃት ሙጋ በተለይ
People used to complain that Raya Alamata Warada, especially Wajat Muga, is Amharan province, and the people do not want to be Tigrayan. When those people forwarded their question of identity, they were taken to Maicho and persecuted much. After some time, TPLF officials warned those people not to raise this kind of question again. People of Wajat Muga used to complain time and again because of their identity. The people strongly believe that they are Amharans, but not Tigrayans. The language and culture of these people is incorporated with the culture and language of Wollo province.
አማራነት ስሜት የአማራነት ፍላጎትና ማንነት ያለው ህዝብ ነው
በአማራ ክልል ምንሻም ይሁ እየጠበቁ
I am living lonely without my husband. I have nobody to support me. He was a strong farmer and he used to produce products in different kind. Our house was full of products, but they killed him without reason.
በሽንጉርቱ ባወራው በጤፍ ስንት ቋ ወዛደ በሸቀ በገበሬ ቢያሰራ አይጎልበትም ቋ ግን እንዲህ አርገው አስቀሩት ባጭ እናት አባትኩኝ አሳድቆ ይሁን እሱም ቀለጤ ነበር
He was a good farmer who produced different kinds of products. He was a friendly man, but they killed him brutally.
ያፍስ ነበር እሾም ነበር ይጠራ ነበር አጣፉት እነሱ
እንግሻ በላይ የተባለ ወንድማችን እሱ በጣም ለሰው ልጅ እውነት ነው እንጂ ሐሰት ምንም የማይፈልግ ሰው ነበር
Our brother Mangesha Belai was an honest man. As he was Amharan, he was highly persecuted. Amharans were not allowed to have Amharan identification card. They were snatched their Kabali identification card. Even their properties were confiscated if they are Amharans. When Mangesha sees this persecution of Amhara people, he began to complain the TPLF soldiers. However, they shot and killed him. No one was allowed even to cry and take the body of Mangesha.
መንገሻ ሞተ እሱንም አስከሬው ሊያነሱ ቢውሊሮች ዛይና በኋላ የደረሱ ሰዎች አታነሱም ብለው በብላ ደብድባቸው
The grief of people of Muga is difficult to narrate, and it is something difficult to hear. It is difficult to imagine the presence of this kind of brutality. It was the time that men were castrated because of their identity. There are also people who went to a monastery because of the misery they have experienced. Families of the dead people were made to be humiliated.
ወንድ ልጅ ሊደረግ የማይገባው ነገር የተደረጉ
There are users who have got unbelievable misery. Even though they don't want to be presented on media, they were highly persecuted. There are people who were castrated. Because of this, they cannot even to walk. As many of the people gave up, they were forced to migrate.
አላህ ካደረሰኝ እደርሳለሁ ካልደረሰኝ የቀይ ባህር አሳይ ብላኝ ብሎ ሄደ።
ሳድሬ ነበርኩ የሰው ሻይ ተጋዛሁ። አሁን ግን እርሻ ማረስ ማልችልም። 3 ልጆች አሉኝ።
I cannot perform agricultural activities. I have 3 children. I am alive, but I cannot do anything to feed the family. However, what makes me feel sad more is the days of Mangasha. He was the one who feels sense of responsibility for the well-being of the people. His sense of responsibility was the reason for his days.
ለሞት የደረሰውም በህዝብ ተቆርቆሮ ነው እንጂ እሱ ራሱ ቤት ይምሩልኝ ወይም ቤትና ሞሊ ይዋርለም ነው።
ጥሩ ነበር። አበቃሻለሁ አነቃሻለሁ ተወርሻለሁ አይዞሽ እናቴ።
He was a kind man. He was my hope to support and treat me in my old age. They didn't kill only my son, they also killed me. I had a great hope on him. Now I'm unable to even go to church.
ተኮርትም ያለሁኝ ያነሱኛን ያቃኑኛን ያዳፉኛን
ይሄ አላግባብ ወደ ትግራይ የተካተተው የራያ ህዝብ ወዳውኑ ነበር ተቃውሞ ያነሳው።
People of Raya who were illegally incorporated into the province of Tigray immediately started to complain regarding their identity. The first thing is that people of Raya believe that they are not Tigrayans. The other thing is that officials of TPLF were dictatorial leaders. The people were experiencing great misery from the then officials of TPLF like Getachew Asefa and officials of Derg regime like Ambacho.
ከላይ አምባቸው ከታች ጌታቸው ያንን መጣያና ህዝብም አልተመቸው የሚል አባባል ነበር የተጠቀመው። ስለዚህ አምባቸውም ጌታቸውም ገዢዎች እንጂ ነፃ አውጪዎች አይደሉም።
The misery of Raya province, land of Wajat Muga, is not only this. There are many people who are crying in this area. University students who came to their family for vacation were also killed by TPLF officials. Parents of the students sacrificed a lot to teach and empower their children. However, their efforts became valueless. For this reason, parents are in tears and they have lost their eyes because of crying.
I have sacrificed a lot to raise him. When his age reached for education, he joined both religious and modern schools. He was learning traveling from Waja to Timuga and from Timuga to Waja. When he was on the way to complete his education, he was killed. Now his friends have graduated from university. My heart has been broken and I usually cry day and night. It has been 3 years since he was killed. I've never expected him to die in this way. I've paid a lot to raise him.
እነዚህ ሰዎች ያለ ምክንያት የጻፉት ይመስላል ያንን ህገ መንግስት በምክንያት ነው የጻፉት።
Do you think that they have written the constitution without reason? No, they have written it purposely. This is because to justify and legalize that the people and the resource they have taken is their own and it belongs to them. Earlier, people of Ethiopia was not demarcated or limited with boundary or river. As I have seen, many Tigrayan people used to live in Raya. However, there was no reason for those people to live there other than job opportunity.
እዛ ሀገር ይኖር ነበር ልክ እንደነበረው ሁሉ ምንድን ነበር የሚሰበው በተለው የሚሰበው ነገር ያው ስራና እድል ስለነበረ ነው።
ሞት እንኳን ለማማል ቶሎ ያረግልኝሳ
Who is going to support me now in my old age? I have nobody to support me.
ተዋሪ በል
አማራ ናቸው የሚባል ድብደባ መጣብን በዛ ደበደቡት
People were persecuted because of their identity. A man should not be persecuted this much. Killing someone with gunfire is better than the way they persecute. His body was badly wounded. He was unable to eat and drink. Later on, he passed away. However, nobody heard our voice, and there is no one for whom you tell your grievance.
ያለፈብን ወቅት ሞታንም ዝም ነው ተጎድተንም ዝም ነው ወደ ማንኛው አካል ተሄዶ ሞትንም ተመታንም የሚባልበት ነገር የለም
After we complete our stay at Wajat Muga, we have continued our journey to Alamata. There are also lots of people who are victims of TPLF regime. In this area, like Wajat Muga, many people were detained. Many of them were persecuted and many others were also killed in Alamata. Many mothers of this area lost their children for whom they paid a lot.
አባቱ ስድስተኛ ክፍል ሳለ ነው የሞተው እኔ መከራይናች ከራይ ጣሳብዬ ዳቦ ጋግሬ ጠላ ጠምቄ
His father died when he was grade 6 student. Then I have sacrificed a lot to raise him, being both mother and father. However, they killed my son.
እናቴ ለኔ ልታሳድግ መከራ ያየክ ነው ብሎ በዚች አርጎ በዛች በወዳች አርጎ መጥቶ ተመልሶ ሲመጣ ወደኔ ሊመጣ ገደሉት
ለ27 ዓመታት ሙሉ በግዞት በባርነት እየተገፋን ስንኖር
We have been persecuted for the past 27 years. Later on, we have started to ask about our identity. However, after few days, 5 polices came to my home and took me to Maicho at the midnight.
ማንነት ተጠይቀሃል ተቢ 5 ፖሊሶች መጥተው በፓትሮል አፍነው በሌሊት ወደ ማጮ ይወሰዱ
በጣም ነው እኔስ የምወደው ሩሩ ነው
I love him very much. He was my concern. He used to help me in homework. He was special for me.
ሆዴ ነው ያልኩት ሞላ ሆዴ ያልኩት ለምን ለየተለየ ልጅ ነው በጣም የተለየ ነው
ዓለማችን ከሚያቃቸው ከፍ ፋሽስቶች እንኳን ያሰሩት ሂትለር በፖላንድ ላይ ሂትለር በሶቪየት ዩኒየን ላይ
I know that the bad deed of TPLF committed on Amhara people can be worse than the deed performed by Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini.
ሀገሮች ላይ ከሰሩት ግፎች የከፋ ግፍ ሊሰራ የሚችል ዶክመንት ሆኖ አቃለ
ለኔ በጣም ነው ጭፍጨፋ በዛብኝ በእነ ዳንኤል ታምራት
It was a big grief that I have experienced. I was forbidden to prepare a memorial ceremony for my dead son. I was also forbidden to host Amharan people who came to my home for the memorial ceremony. Even I was forced to complete the ceremony with time bound until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
ለ10 ሰዓት ሰጥቼሻለሁ ሰው በልቶ እንዲሄድ ሰዓት ሰጥቼሻለሁ አለኝ ጸጥታ ሀጎስ የሚባል ነው እንደገና ለ10 ሰዓት ይበላም አይበላም ለ10 ሰዓት ዳሴን አፍርሼ ሜዳውን ለቀቁለት።
የተገደሉ ማለት የት እንደገቡ ያልታወቁ ብዙ ወጣቶች አሉ።
There are youths who were killed. Many of them are also not known where they are. What is surprising is that they do not choose sex and age for persecution. Even though most of them were youths, elderly people and women were also being persecuted. They take you to jail at the midnight and put you in a dark room. Then you are going to be whipped, telling the operation of TPLF over Rayan people is like fetching the water of an ocean with spoon. It takes much time to talk about the bad deed of TPLF regime.
የህወሓት በደል የትህነግ ጭቆና በራያ ምድር ላይ በደም የጨቀየ ባህር እንደ በማንኪያ መናገር ነው እኔ ማወራ ያለሁት። በጣም ብዙ ነው። ገብቷል። እናወራብን አይደለም እቺ እናንተ እናወራባት ሰዓት ብዙ ሰዓት ብናወራ አያልቅም።
ራሴ መርዝ ጠጥቻለሁ ማለት እየተጠበቅኩኝ
I was kept by my families, for I was suspected of committing suicide. The TPLF regime started its persecution since its foundation in 1983. However, the misery still exists.
እንዳቅማዳ ያሰሩ ነው። ስቃይ ያሳይተው ተጻልይ
ወጣቶች ሰውተናል እዚህ ከተማ ላይ በዚህ ማንነት ጥያቄ ላይ መድረክ ይፈቀድ።
In this city, we lost many youths because of question of identity. We asked zone officials to have a discussion concerning our identity. However, they never allowed us to discuss this kind of issue. Rather, they responded that if there is anybody who will ask this kind of question again, he will be killed. However, the youth continued their resistance. The youth had nothing at their hand. On the other hand, TPLF soldiers had full gunfires, including sniper. Then, many of the youth lost their life.
ምርጃዋል ስካፍንጫቸው የታጠቁ ናቸው። ያው በጠራራ ፀሐይ በጥይት ቆሏቸው።
አንድ ቦታ ላይ ታስረን የነበርን 17 ሰዎች ነበር።
We were 17 in numbers at the jail. However, there were many prisoners in different parts of Tigray, like Adishu, Maichau, Mekele, Temben and other parts of the region because of their question of identity.
መቀሌ፣ ተምቤን የተለያዩ አካባቢዎች ታስረዋል የራያ ልጆች ማንነታቸው በመጠየቃቸው።
There are lots of victims of TPLF in different parts of Raya. Of this area, Balla, which is found in northeastern parts of Raya, is the one which experienced the misery of TPLF. Then we have made our journey to Balla. When we arrived at Balla, we met an elderly man who has experienced the operation of TPLF for the past 27 years. He warmly welcomed us and told us his time of grief through which he passed in the past 30 years. From the very beginning, the language of these people is Amharic. Marriage relation of the people is with Amharan people like Waja, Kobo and others. However, we were forced to be Tigrayan. The interest of the people is usually to the region of Amhara. We were requested to leave the area and go to the province of Wollo unless they are integrated into the region of Tigray.
ለምን አማራ ትሆናላችሁ ልቀቁ መሬቱን ለቃችሁ ሂዱ ወደ ወሎም ተብሏል ለህዝቡ ተነግሯል።
TPLF has been chasing the people of Raya, especially the youth, for the past many years. That's why the misery and the grief is never missed in the minds of the people.
መሞታቸው የማይታወቅ መኖራቸው የማይታወቅ በየትኛው እስር ቤት እንደሌሉ ወይም እንዳሉ የማያውቁ እናቶች አሉ።
There are mothers who never know where their children are and never know whether their children are alive or not. Many youths and businessmen have been disabled and died.
ብዙ በሺህ የሚቆጠሩ ወጣቶች ጠፍተዋል፣ ባለሀብቶች ጠፍተዋል፣ አካለ ጎደሎ ሆነዋል።
ወጣት የነበረውን ጋፋው ሌሊት አፍነው ያው ትንሽ ተሞክሮ ነበረ ከአቅማቸው በላይ ሆነ ያው
Youths of the area were taken to jail and we don't know where they are now. The youths tried to resist the TPLF force. However, they failed to do so. Families of the youths have been crying so far. Crying is also forbidden. Nobody is allowed to cry for his dead family.
ያለቅሱም እንደዚህ ብትልም ያለ እርምጃ ስለሚወሰድብህ በቃ ያለ መማረጫ አፍህን መዝጋት ነው። ተለጉመን ነበር ነው ልክ በቃ እንደ አመለኛ በቅሎ ተለጉመን ነበር ነው።
በዛን ጊዜ ታፈነው የተወሰዱ አሉ።
During that time, there are youths who were taken to prison, like Brahanu Balai, Hailu Belleta and others. First, they were at Maicho. Then, they were taken to Mekele. However, when prisoners of Mekele are released, Brahanu and Hailu are not there among the prisoners.
አሁን መቀሌ እስረኛ ሲለቀቅም እነሱ የሉ።
ብዙ ወጣቶች እስካሁን ማለት ነው እስር ቤት ላይ ሄደው ሳይመለሱ የቀረው።
There are many youths who have not yet returned from prison. Among the 17 prisoners who were detained with me, 5 of them get lost. We don't know where they are.
ብዙዎች ደግሞ ከተማቸውን ለቀው በግብር ምክንያት ለቀው ሄደዋል። የት እንደገቡ ራሱ አይታወቅ።
የታፈኑት ሰዎች ሞተው ከሆነ
there are mothers who are hoping to see their children. Mothers are usually crying, sitting in the church. There are mothers who are crying, seeing their children in their dream.
ልጄን በህልም ያየሁት ብለው የሚያለቅሱ እናቶች አሉ።
Not only violating human rights of Raya people, TPLF has highly affected the economic situation of people of Raya. They snatched development lands from the hands of Raya people and gave to people of TPLF. After they have dug out groundwater, they have deliberately blocked the water.
ይሄን ውሃ አውጥተን መጠቀም አልቻለም። ውሃ ላይ ሆነን ውሃ የሚጠማን ሰዎች
We could not use this groundwater for development purpose. We have water resource at hand, but we could not utilize it. We have a fertile land, but we couldn't produce products. TPLF doesn't want the people of Raya to be strong economically. That's why they blocked the water.
ልጆቹን በቆሎ ቢያበላ ልጆቹን ሰርቶ ቢያበላ ነገ የመብት ጥያቄ ካነሳ ኃይለኛ ህዝብ ነውና እንዳይወጣ ውሃውን ካወጡት በኋላ ዘጉት።
መጀመሪያም የዚህ አካባቢ ህዝብ በኢኮኖሚ ደቁሰውታል።
From the very beginning, TPLF economically affected people of this area. That's why the people gave their development land to the family of TPLF. The people rent their land to the family of TPLF. This situation made people of Raya slave for TPLF. They have dug out a groundwater in this area. However, they purposely blocked the water and took the generator to Tigray. You can check all the groundwater. They are not functional now.
ጄኔሬተሩ በጣም የሚገርም ሁኔታ ማለት ነው። የከርሰ ምድር ውሃ አሁን እያንዳንዱ ሄዳችሁ ማረጋገጥ ትችላላችሁ። ያ የጄኔሬተር ውሃ አይሰራም።
በሁሉም በራያ ሜዳ ላይ ከዋጃ ጀምራችሁ እስከ መሆኒ ድረስ በወያኔ ተጭረው ጉድጓዱ ግራውንድ ላይ ታሽጎ ነው ያሉት።
In all areas of Raya, beginning from Waja to Mohni, the groundwaters have been blocked by TPLF. The reason is that they think that if these people became economically strong, TPLF can no longer rule them. In addition, TPLF really knows that Raya people are not Tigrayans, so they intentionally blocked the water for the past 10 years so as to harm the people.
ሆን ተብሎ ጉድጓዱ እንዳለ ከ10 ዓመት በላይ ሆነዋል ታሽገው ሁሉም የምታዩት አካባቢ ሜዳ እንደዚህ ታሽጎ ይቀመጣል።
ጎልጎል ራያ ብለው በትግርኛ የጠሩት እነሱ የራያ ልማት ሸለቆ የራያ ሸለቆ ልማት
Under Raya Gorge Development Project, they dig out groundwater. However, later on, they interrupted the project purposely so as not to make the people of Raya beneficiary. Their intention was giving the project and development land of Raya to businessmen of Tigray region.
ድረስ በዛ መልክ መጠቀም ነው እንጂ ህዝቡን መጥቀም አይፈልጉም ነበርና አላማቸው ፍላጎታቸው ይሄ ነው የነበረው።
የውሃ የመስኖ ፖቴንሻሉና የወደፊት እንትኑ አይደለም ለራያ ለአገር ይበቃል የሚባል ቦታ እንዳለና ጥናት እንዳላቃለሁ።
I know that water and irrigation development potential of Raya is sufficient for not only Raya people but also for the nation. A man who was working in that project told me about the situation. People of TPLF are greedy in their behavior and they never say it is enough.
ዲት ነው አጠገቡም እንደ አንተ አንድ ጊዜ እምብርት እኮ ተሰራው ለዛ ነው የሚበቃህን ያህል ስታነሳ ይበቃሃል እኮ።
Youths of Raya who have suffered a lot from the oppression of TPLF were forced to leave their homeland and migrate to other areas. They have lost their life at Red Sea and Somalia deserts.
ስደት አያውቅም ራያ በታሪኩ ነው ምን
There is no migration in the history of Raya. It is a place where people of other areas come and live in a peaceful and prosperous way. People of Raya started to experience migration after the coming of TPLF regime. Many youths lost their life at Red Sea and Somalia deserts. Nowadays, many people have no land for agriculture and other development areas.
የ30 ዓመት እድሜ ያላቸው ወጣቶች አንዳችም ጢንጦ መሬት ለራሳቸው የሚተዳደሩባት ምድር የለችም።
ይሄ ህመም ከራያነት ወጥቶ ከአማራነት ወጥቶ ስደት እንዲሄድ አደረገው።
The operation of TPLF made our people leave Amhara region and migrate to other areas. When do migrants return to their homeland? There are parents who don't know the fact that their children lost their lives at Red Sea. There are mothers who hope the existence of their children.
ልጆቻቸው ሳይመጡ መሞታቸውን ያውቃሉ አሉ ብለው ተስፋ የሚያደርጉ እናቶች አሉ። እዚህ ከተማ ላይ በመቶ የሚቆጠሩ ወጣቶች ባህር ገብተው አልቀዋል።
In this town, hundreds of youths lost their lives while crossing the Red Sea. The boat on which they were traveling was drowned in the Red Sea. Then many people passed away. There are also youths who have no address to know where they are. Even there are also females whose family do not know whether they are alive or not. It is all happened because of the bad deed of TPLF. So, Raya is the place where the greatest portion of operation of TPLF was committed.
ራያ ላይ በትልቁ ግፍ የተሰራበት አካባቢ
የከብቶቻቸው የግጦሽ ሳር የነበረው ለነሱ እንዲሰጥ ተደረገ።
Grazing land of Raya people was given to the family of TPLF. For your surprise, this area was a dense forest before some years. However, the forest was made to be deforested and the land was given to people of TPLF. Then, frequent droughts happened in the land of Raya, and many people died because of hunger. So, the youth preferred to migrate into other areas.
ከዛ በኋላ ምንድነው የሆነው? ራያ በተደጋጋሚ ድርቅ ተከሰተ። የድሩ መመንጠር፣ ህዝቡ በረሃብ ሞተ፣ ስደትን መረጠ። ወጣቶች አካባቢያቸውን ለቀው ሄዱ።
All the lands of Raya taken by TPLF groups have no any infrastructure. This is because TPLF doesn't want the area to be developed.
ዋት የተቆጣጠረበት አካባቢ ላይ ብዙ ጊዜ በተለይ በሸፍጥ የወሰዳቸው ቦታዎች ላይ ምናምኖች ላይ መሰረተ ልማት አያለማም።
In most of the cases, TPLF didn't construct infrastructure development activities in the places snatched from Amhara. This is because they were afraid that someday the areas might be returned back to Amhara province. The other reason was they believe that if the area is made to be infrastructurally poor and have no any potential for development, the people will leave the area and migrate to other places. Then, if it is so, TPLF will get a chance to fully control the area. TPLF will never take a certain land without a given reason.
ስለዚህ እዛን ሰዓት ሰፋሪ ጌራሴ እንደልብ አደርገዋለሁ የሚል ቦታዎቹን ግን ሲወስድ ያለ ምክንያት አይወስድም።
In terms of culture and language, Raya is a place where TPLF committed lots of bad actions. It is true that Raya is the people who have its own original culture and who have preserved it for a long period of time.
ቋንቋችን የተዋረደበት በቋንቋችን የሳቁ
It was the time that we were ashamed of our language and culture. They were laughing at our cultural clothes.
በእኛ ልብስ የሳቁበት የተሳለቁበት
በአብዛኛው የራያ ሰው ከጥንትም ጀምሮ እስከማቀው ነው እዚህ ልጅ ሆኜ እስከመለከት ድረስ በጥምቀት ባህል ላይ ብቻ
As to my experience, it was the people of Raya who give life for the festivity of Epiphany in Wollo using their cultural clothes. I will never forget the way the people of Raya dress and the way they perform their traditional dances in the festivity of Epiphany. I am a witness for this.
የራያው የጁ የእንዲ ተብሎ ከተማው ምን የመሰለ የባህል ሜልቲንግ ፖት እንደሆነች ከኔ በላይ ምስክር ይኖራችሁ ማይቻለው አደርሽበታለሁ።
In addition, people of Raya were purposely made deprived of their right to learn in their mother tongue language.
እዛች ታዳጊዋ ትምህርት ቤት አማርኛ ነው የሚናገሩት በሚል አካባቢው ማህበረሰብ የሚቀናው አማርኛ ነው።
Mostly, people of Raya tend to speak Amharic than Tigrinya. However, it is forbidden to speak Amharic here. Let alone Amharic, it is strongly forbidden even to speak Rayan's Tigrinya. Therefore, the educational curriculum has been designed in Tigrinya language. However, there are students in the class who do not listen to Tigrinya language. So, we are forced to teach them again, translating the language into Amharic. We teachers also were not allowed to speak Amharic language in the class.
ይቀጣል የሚል ማስጠንቀቂያ ተሰጠን። ገብተዋል እንድናገር አይፈቀድም። በፍትህም ረገድ እንደዛ ነው። አማርኛማ ወንጀል ነው። በአማርኛ ማመልከቻ ጽፍ ነው። አንተ በአማርኛ ክፍል ውስጥ ገብተህ እንድትናገርም እየነገርኩ ነው። ጭራሽ ባይሄ አይፈቀድም።
ትግርኛውን አልገባቸው ይላል ወድቀሃን ትባላለህ።
Their mother tongue is Amharic. However, they learn at school using Tigrinya. For this reason, they usually fail in exam. Better educational opportunity is also given only for Tigrayans. No matter how outstanding they are, Amharan students could not get better education opportunity given at Mekelle.
እንደገና ባህር ዳር ዩኒቨርሲቲ ተማር።
እንግዲህ እዛ አካባቢ 24 ትምህርት ቤቶች በአማርኛ ካልተማርን አንማርም ብለው 24 ትምህርት ቤቶች ተዘግተዋል።
In this area, about 24 schools were closed, for students complained that they do not want to learn in Tigrinya. However, Ministry of Education didn't ask the reason why the schools were closed. Human Rights Commission also did nothing. Nobody stood on the side of the students.
ምክንያቱም ህፃናት በአፍ መፍቻ ቋንቋቸው እንዳይማሩ ሲደረግ ስለነሱ የቆመ አንድም አካል አልነበረም።
ማመልከቻም በአማርኛ ቄሱ ምን እንዳይጽፍ ትግርኛ ካልሆነ አትጽፉም ተባለ።
We were not allowed to write even application letters in Amharic language. Because of this, we used to pay 100 birr for those who can write Tigrinya, so as to get that application letter.
መቶ ብር እየከፈልን ትግርኛ እናጽፋለን ማመልከቻ።
ሬፈረንደም አድርጓል ወይ ፈልጓል ወይ ጠይቋል ወይ አድርጉ ብሏል ወይ?
Did they make a referendum? Did they ask the consent of the people? The very important thing for human being is living together peacefully. People never want to be discriminated because of their language, culture and identity. Raya is the right place where people live freely without discrimination.
አየሁ እገሌ ከዚህ ነው የመጣው እገሌ ከዛ ነው የመጣው የሚል እሳቤ የሌለው አካባቢ የምታገኘው እዚህ ነው።
ወያኔ 1983 ዓመተ ምህረት ግንቦት ላይ ያው ሀገሪቱን ሲቆጣጠር
After TPLF controlled the country in 1983, we have been taken to Tigray region without our consent. Later on, in 1987, they have made a constitution and declared that Raya, Wolqayt and Agade are parts of Tigray region.
እናንተ ትግራይ ናችሁ ተባለ።
ለ30 ዓመት 34 ዓመት ነው እድሜ 30 ይላል። አሁን እዚህ መታወቂያ እድሜ 30 ነው የሚለው የኔ ማለት ነው።
This Kabele identification card was given for me before 34 years. I deliberately put this identification card as a means of evidence to show the fact that Raya is the province of Amhara region. Before this time, I have never showed this ID card for anybody, even for my children.
ልዩ ቀበሌ 01 ጃሃን ኢራ የቀበሌ ነዋሪዎች 01 ቀበሌዎች ነዋሪዎች መታወቂያ ይላል።
የሆነ ጥናት ነበረኝና ወደ መቀሌ ሄጄ ነበር አንድ አመት ከምናምን ይሆነኛል።
Someday I went to Mekelle for conducting a research and I was there before 1 year. When I go to Mekelle, some people told and showed me the border around Waja, and I was very surprised about the border. How come? As I have told you, I know the land of Raya very well. You cannot change the identity of someone forcefully.
ሊስብህ የሚችል ነገር ከሌለ ሰው እኮ የግድ እኮ የኔን ስላልኩ አይሆንም እኮ ዜግነትን ቀይርህና እንዲህ አይፈልገውም።
ትነግ በትግርኛ ህወሓት የሚሉት የአማርኛ ስያሜው የትግራይ ህዝብ ነጻነት ግንባር ወይም ተነግ ነው የምንለው።
Not only after coming to power, TPLF was frequently launching war on Raya people. Even before fully controlling power, they were oppressing the people and looting the property of the people. Then, when the regime of Derg was overthrown, TPLF got a chance to control the area fully. Eventually, in 1984, TPLF designed a constitution and declared that Raya Alamata and Wofla Worada should be incorporated into the province of Tigray.
አዋጅ ቁጥር 7 1984 አማካኝነት በወሎ ክፍለ ሀገር ስር የነበሩትን የራያ አላማጣ ወረዳና የወፍላ ወረዳዎችን ወደ ትግራይ ያካተተበት ሁኔታ አለ።
የወሰን ድንበራቸውን በትክክል አስቀምጦ የመስራት ስራ ተሰራ የሚባለው ጣሊያን ከወጣ በኋላ 1942 ላይ የመጀመሪያው
The first end-based boundary demarcation activity was made after the evacuation of Italy from Ethiopia in 1942. I have never seen this kind of boundary demarcation research so far. The demarcation fairly considered the psychology, geography, socio-economic relation and market situation of the people. It includes even governors of each provinces.
ኤርትራ እስከገባችበት ጊዜ ድረስ የነበሩትን እንደገና ደግሞ ሀረርና ባሌን ተብሎ ለሁለት የተከፈለበትን 13 ያደረጉትን የመሳሰሉትን ብትመለከቱ የዛን ጊዜ የተሰሩ ስራዎች ናቸው።
What is the reason for the psychological, socio-economic and cultural oppression of TPLF over the people? Is it possible to change the identity of one's people into another identity in a forceful way?
መጀመሪያ የነበረው ህልማቸው
The first objective of TPLF was forming a republic of Tigray, taking the fertile land of Raya. If they are able to control this fertile land, they can feed their people. It is an area which is endowed with plenty of natural resources. It is known that the area has many mineral resources. They thought that they have completely broken the psychology of Raya people.
አማራው ራያው ማንነቱን የሚጠይቅ አማራ ነኝ የሚል ወጣት ይፈጠራል ብለው አያስቡ።
ትልቁና ብዙ ሰው ትኩረት ያልሰጠበት ነገር ግን እነዚህ ሁሉ መሬቱ ከከበቡ በኋላ
The biggest objective of TPLF when they controlled this extensive area of land is to form an independent state or Republic of Tigray.
ራሱን የቻለ አንድ መንግስት ሊሰራ ታሰበ ከኢትዮጵያ ወጣ ማይንዲው
ገና በ1968 ዓመተ ምህረት ባወጣው የፖለቲካ ማኒፌስቶ ላይ
In its 1968 political manifesto, TPLF clearly stated that Alauha is the border of Tigray region in the south part. The main objective of the resistance is forming the Republic of Tigray. Therefore, they should have controlled an extensive area of land so as to form an independent state of Tigray. Large number of people should have also been incorporated. Moreover, they have obtained an extensive fertile and productive land. That's why they tried to incorporate the land of Raya into Tigray region.
ስለዚህ ይሄን ህዝብ ወደ ትግራይ ማካተት ተገቢ ነው የሚል ሐሳብ ይዘው ነበር የመጡት።
All this misery and oppression of TPLF is resulted from sense of selfishness and greediness. This sense of selfishness and greediness is also resulted from inability to understand the presence of a change in time and situation and the ups and downs of life. Nevertheless, it is common for nature to give its justice. The tears of the mothers arrived on the veil of God, and the nature in turn has given its own justice this way.